here it is, another beautiful, wet, icy day. Bear and I are going to go for a cruise. Come on, Bear. Since he's my favorite passenger. Yeah, it is 43 degrees Fahrenheit right now. As you can see, my driveway is starting to reappear. But the side streets are absolutely ice. But synchro gets around great. I gotta unplug it, so I'm gonna drive off with my cord hooked up. And we are out of here. Let me get this thing fired up and we'll get on our way. Get there. Come on, let's go bye-bye. Bear does love to go bye-bye. Alright, let's do a cold start. This thing hasn't started in a few days. And like always, fires right up. Fixed my wipers again and put the curved washers on, so hopefully that holds up a little better. But anyhow, we're off for a cruise. Looks like they thankfully brought the sand trucks around and did a little sanding on the side street, because my street here has been very, very, very icy. A lot of standing water. When this refreezes, it's going to be garbage. He loves to ride. Matter of fact, he gets mad if you don't take him with you. That's why I've got a million nose prints, from that sniffer on my windows. But he's a good rider. So got bored with me talking. I get bored with me talking too. Oh, he's gonna lay down. So we've done our running around. We ran to the post office. Oh, Bear's headed to the back seat. Headed to the post office looking for a package that didn't arrive, that they said arrived. And now we're headed home. And I'll show you what I do for a hobby when the weather's garbage like this. If it was below freezing and snowing, it would be fantastic right now, but since it's 43 degrees downtown, which I was just at, and rainy with a hint of sun here and there, winter camping is hereby postponed for at least a week, it looks like. I'm gonna try to get out and do something maybe tomorrow, but I'm waiting on a package that says it's here and hasn't showed up yet, so we'll keep our fingers crossed they find it. Anyhow, I'm headed back to my house and I'll show you what I do when the weather's garbage. Here is my garage, and as you can see, I built log beds. I built log dressers and nightstands and stuff like that. But I'm currently working on a pretty unique, really curvy bed. This is my stockpile of logs. There's a bunch of ones that need to be peeled. As you can see, they're gray, they're old. These came out of a burn, so they're not green when I cut them. And they're dead dry standing when I cut them, so all I got to do is peel them and use them. I use a I made draw knife, and I do have a store-bought one that's I think 70 or 80 years old. I don't know, it works, but it needs to be sharpened right now. It's pretty dull, and I've been tinkering with kind of a unique piece of wood that I'm thinking about putting in this headboard, which as you can see has a big old arch in it. And it's these are, when you build a unique bed like this, they're pretty challenging. I got it ratchet strapped together because the other day it fell apart on me and I got wiped out by a log. So anyhow, this is kind of what I do for a hobby. If you've watched the channel at all, I made a couple beds for Truckhouse Life, one of our local YouTubers here in Alaska, and he put one in his B&B and one in his own bedroom. Of course, I got my best helper here. He always supervises, make sure I do things right. So that's what I do for a hobby. I can set up a time lapse because I'm trying to build that headboard right now, and I'd like to get that finished so I can get this thing out of my garage because I have a bunch of Volkswagen parts that need to come in here and get sorted out. Apparently the time lapse did not work, so I will show you what I've done so far. Just added some spindles. Everything's just kind of sitting there. I got to do a lot of sanding and stuff still, but I give you the basics of what it might look like. Complicated bed, but the complicated ones always turn out the coolest. I'll show you better when I get it all assembled, which will probably take about 20 ratchet straps and a lot of cussing, but it should be together tomorrow. And then I'll set the whole bed up and show you what it's gonna look like. Got my number one helper out here with me. It's the next day. We took a little break, give me some time to sand all these pieces and get everything ready. Now the fun part is I have to make all these go together relatively simultaneously, which is never easy because glue likes to drip out of the holes and ends up being a big mess. But I'm gonna try to capture, probably on time lapse. But this bed, hopefully, I'll have this headboard put together and straight. I've got a few things I still need to do. I'll have to do a little more light sanding, but as you can see, that tenon right here kind of goes up at an angle. Well, when I drilled the post, I drilled the hole fairly straight, so I'm gonna have to do a little work on this so it'll fit without splitting my post. But as you can see, I broke out the big straps because I know I'm gonna need them. About 4 more sets of hands would be nice, so you could have a set of hands on every one of those, because they're all gonna have to go in, and they all go in at different angles. And there's a lot of pieces that have to move simultaneously to get everything to kind of settle down and go into one piece. So this will be an adventure for sure. I'll go ahead and set up the camera and we'll get going. So in this time lapse, I'm just putting glue in the holes and trying to hurry so the glue doesn't drip out of the upper holes. Normally, I don't put the bed vertically when I'm assembling it, but this particular one, because of the wicked curve on the top log, I couldn't lay on the ground to assemble. So here I'm just hurrying, trying to beat the glue before it runs out and makes a big mess, because then you have to resand that area that the glue touches. And so far, looking pretty good. I have a few minor issues here. The Y-shaped log did not want to stay in the upper holes. So I put it together, and then I have to take it back apart. You see me adjust it here in a second. And right here I realized that the log had slipped down when I tried to put it up, and I'm trying to pull it back up, so I have to pull it back apart real quick. Anyhow, this is kind of how the assembly process goes. I'll let you watch. Hopefully all that showed up on the time lapse, but as you can see, all the tenons are in their new homes. And this is going to be a pretty cool bed. I still got to glue the posts, which I'll do here in a minute, but I wanted to give this a couple minutes to kind of settle in. As you can see, these are very unique pieces and they did not want to go together. So I kind of persuaded them to go together.
And if you can look straight down, should butt up all the way to the wall with no problems as well. So definitely going to be a cool bed. And I will show you more here in a minute. This is how you make your garage small, quickly. You had a king size bed with big posts on it. But it is getting there. I gotta put side rails together, I gotta drill some holes in those, and then add the upper side rails. Put spindles in the sides, and then it'll be ready for the cross rails. It took a lot longer. I had to make a run to Home Depot, of course, because my stuff was old and wore out, so I had to go grab some stuff. And we're back. Unfortunately, the battery just died. I was trying to show some of the detail that this bed has. It's pretty unique. All these logs came out of a burn, so you can actually see some of the burn marks. Went way out in the middle of this burn to find this upper log. I could see it when I drove by, so I had to go get it, and it was heavy, and it was a long pack, but it turned out nice, and it'll make a beautiful bed. So I'm going to drill some holes and hopefully get this finished tonight so I can put finish on it tomorrow. And then I'll show you what it looks like when it's completed. Here it is. All assembled. Only thing I have left is the cross slats that go between here that the box springs and the mattress sit on. And I will do those tomorrow when I actually put the finish on. So this turned out to be a pretty cool bed. I'll try to hang some sheets or something to get some better pictures of it so you can see all the really cool character that it has. But that's what it looks like. And no, these aren't drove all the way in yet. I'll take those in tomorrow when I run the bolts in and out the first time. But I've got some cool pieces like the Ys and the really curvy stuff up in the headboard. Let me know what you think in the comments. Section, you can see my helper's currently laying down, and then I threw him out because I didn't want him to walk into the finish. And here I'm just putting on the first coat of finish, which is a sanding sealer to seal the logs. This is about an hour process per coat, and I had to do one coat of sanding sealer, and then I put on 2 coats of actual polyurethane finish. I wish I could put finish on this fast, but this process here took actually an hour to do the entire bed. And Bear was being impatient at the door, so I opened the door and just made him stay in the house. But yeah, I definitely wish I could paint this fast. Hand painting all this takes forever. And you have to be quick, because if it dries before you brush it out, then you get runs and it just doesn't look good. So definitely hurrying, but again, you got to be good and cover the entire piece. Side note here, it takes about just under a half a gallon of sanding sealer to seal a bed this size. And then the finish is about the same. Takes about a half gallon to do 2 coats of finish on a king size bed. I'll shut up here and let you watch I will quit with the time lapse. That's basically half the bed. I still have to finish this half, but as you can see, it's real dull when you've sanded it. And then when you put the finish on, and this is just sanding sealer. I've still got to put a couple coats of actual finish on. It'll give it a nice glossy shine. And I will show you that when I get there. But that's half of the bed, and I still got to do the rest of it. And then let it dry, and then hand sand it one more time. Take all the rough off of it, and then put 2 coats of actual finish on with a sand in between. So I'll quit boring you with the time lapse, and I will get back to work. Well, this is it. It's got 3 coats of finish on it now. All right, this is 3 coats of finish. Sorry, my battery died a second ago. It's still wet, so I don't want to touch it yet. But now it's got a nice shine to it. All I got to do now is the cross slats that go in there to hold the mattress and box springs, which I will do that tomorrow because it is late tonight. But that's 3 coats of finish. It's a lot of work. Okay, here is the finished product. It's 100% done. It's ready to be used now. You can see all the unique character this bed has. Scars on the logs and burns from the actual fire that it was in. How it's joined and put together. And the supports for the mattress and box springs. Got my #1 helper dog. But yeah, so that's kind of a hobby I do. Gives me something to do when the weather's bad or whatever. So anyhow, I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think of the bed.